hello everyone. Welcome to the latest lowdown on low code from the team here at analysis.tech. We're going to take a slightly different approach today and looking forward to going through this discussion. I'm Dave Marcus, one of the partners at analysis.tech, and I have with me today one of my co-hosts, John Reimer. John, over to you to introduce our guest as well.
Thanks so much, Dave. Yeah, as Dave said, everyone, we are going to do something a little different with today's episode. Our community, the low code community, is global. We know this, and yet a lot of our conversations and a lot of our research focuses on North America and Western Europe, sometimes a little bit into Eastern Europe. But this is a global community, and one of the really important locations on the globe, both in terms of supplying low code products to our community and in terms of people participating in our community, is India. So I recently had the pleasure of meeting Abhishek Anant Garg, who is an analyst at QKS Group, which is an analyst firm based in India. And Abhishek and I had a conversation that persuaded me that he could help us understand what's going on with low code in India, both from the standpoint of suppliers and also users. And I'm very excited about this, and I hope we can address other markets as well as we go through our journey together, folks. Because, as I say, we are a global community. So, Abhishek, it's a pleasure. Welcome to the Lowdown on Low Code, and thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you.
So thanks, John and Dave, to have me on the podcast, and I'm really excited to be here and spreading the word about India and its low-code domain all across the world. So
Great.
in, as you said in the start that we mainly focus on the North American and Western Europe market. That is very true for our firm also. We have most of our clients and vendors from North America and Western Europe itself.
Mm-hmm.
So this is definitely a point of discussion that all around the world, what is happening.
Right.
So I would like to start that how I became an analyst over here at QKS Group and how I became the analyst for low code technology itself. So to
That's where
start
we
with,
always start. That's where we always start, Abhishek. How did you tell us about your journey?
so uh, like I'm an engineer by the background. I have done mechanical engineering from India itself, and later on I got to know that I have a more of a business mindset actually. So I started my master's in business administration, and at that point of time AI and many other technologies were very well integrated within the business ecosystem. And at my education institute itself, we were taught different kind of programming language, for example Python, R, and use of applications like Power BI. And during that time I got to know about there is something known as low code. So I was very intrigued by the fact that I don't have to code everything from scratch and build applications from like the very bottom in terms of the hard coding, pro coding part. So that is the point where I understood that there is much more to tech that I already know. And while exploring that, I got to know about QKS Group. And here we had a discussion with our um, like the joining faculty and as well as the people from QKS Group, who let me know about the research process and how deeply they are integrated with technology. So that is how I landed up here in QKS Group, and finally got assigned or got integrated with this low code technology, and have been doing the same for the past 5 years. And have been working extensively with different vendors all around the globe as well as from India to create our reports and have a global analysis of this particular technology, the low code no code domain, the low code no code space.
Great. Thank you, Dave. Over to you.
Brilliant. Abhishek, that's certainly good to know. It'd be very helpful if you can kick this off by talking a little bit about the sort of state of low code in India as a geography, both from the perspective of vendors that are operating there, service providers that are providing capabilities there, as well as end customers making use of the technology in that location, in that locale.
So, Dave, you have started with a great question that how is the scenario about low code here in India? So, as you know, that India is a very service-based economy, and we export huge amount of services from tech giants like TCS, Wipro, HCL, all over the world. But recently, in the past few years, around past decade, we have noticed a very high growth in the product side also, and we are
Hmm.
providing world-class products all across the globe. Finally, so the landscape in India for low code is expanding very rapidly,
Hmm.
and what I have observed personally is that there is a very strong momentum in various sectors all across the different kind of industries, as well as the scale, that is small, medium, and large enterprises all around India. And it is mainly like highlighted in the tech capitals and the business capitals of our country, for example, Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, Hyderabad. So these are the few cities that where we have observed that many of the vendors or the platforms have their roots in. So to explain the landscape further, I would like to tell you that small and medium businesses are at the forefront, and
Hmm.
they are using low code as a primary method to digitalize their operations, and that too at a very faster pace at a very cheaper cost than compared to global when we consider global scenario. So
Hmm.
while they still select larger organizations and service providers for their modernization, but they are experimenting with low code at a very fast rapid pace.
Hmm.
So here we have a few very notable homegrown vendors. For example, Zoho, their product creator, and Kissflow. Quixi is one of the vendors that I have personally interacted with at a lot of at a great scale, and also Wavemaker. So these are some notable mentions that I would like to give you.
Right.
So they have got a tremendous growth not only in India but also outside India, specifically in North America.
Right.
And I think that this is because that we Indians understand the simplicity, affordability, and competitiveness very uh, like it is in our blood, to be honest. So that is how I think we are able to scale at that level. Then, as I mentioned, IT services are also very much into low code, and they are adopting low code for their internal client delivery models, and getting better and faster delivery than compared to a traditional approach that we have for coding. Then I guess the key driver for adoption over here is the scarcity of developers that we are facing, and the mounting pressure from clients and industry itself for faster time to market. So here is where low code is enabling organizations to have rapid prototyping, automate workflows, and modernize their entire enterprise ecosystems. And citizen development is something that it is still at a very nascent stage and is growing slowly, because many of the industries and the companies that I've already talked about are focusing on uh, requiring the vendors to do the low code work here for them, instead of focusing on their own business developers and business users already available in their own organization. And
Interesting.
one and governance is also one thing that is still maturing over here and has quite a lot of scope for improvement. And finally, I think we also have a growth mindset and export oriented mindset over here in India, and hence I think we are also getting shout out all over the world, and as I mentioned, specifically in America. So this is the overall competitiveness and the ability of Indian low code vendors that is driving the low code wave here in India.
Awesome. John, over to you.
Thank you. That's fascinating. So you mentioned Zoho and Kissflow, and those are two well-known vendors. Wavemaker also has been around for a long, long time. Um, One of the things I've always found interesting about these firms is that have become very adept, very skilled at addressing the needs of small and medium business, which is not easy. Um, you deal with high volumes. You're dealing with you don't have very large, sophisticated IT staffs, etc. I mean, why is it? Do you think that these firms have been so successful in addressing small medium business all around the world, even in North America and Western Europe?
So I have a simple statement to give a adapt answer for this is that Indian vendors very deeply understand the actual needs and requirements of SME customers. So what vendors like Zoho and Kissflow is have done is that they have designed their platform specifically for simplicity and easy onboarding, and the overall focus on the ease of use is very high when we consider these two vendors, and hence it becomes very ideal for SME organizations that have a very small or sometimes almost no IT teams available with them. And so this itself becomes a very big differentiator for these vendors uh, to be recognized and adopted by various SME customers. Next, the these platforms have natively been the SaaS first multi-tenant cloud model that they have adopted, and this serves international customers very efficiently and allow them to have a great scale.
Right.
The Indian vendors very properly understand the competitive pricing that they need and the operations to be lean to become to have themselves be appealing for different kind of customers, and this allows them to deliver strong ROI as well as while not relying on largely self-service go-to-market strategies,
Right.
which allow them to have lower barriers for adoption when it comes to SMEs.
Right.
Finally, they strike a very proper balance between low code and no code capabilities, which allows these platforms to be accessible for every novice in terms of coding technology, the business users, but also have the flexibility to be able to be customizable whenever the need there is.
Hmm.
And another thing, another very important factor is that American and European enterprises are very much focused on the grand scale of things and focusing on the entire enterprise ecosystem. But that becomes very complex for SME environments, which is where vendors like Zoho and Kissflow have modified, or I would say placed their platforms very well.
Yeah.
And this mindset, the global mindset that Zoho and Kissflow have set out, and the frictionless delivery that they offer, the localized support, and the ease of deployment that they're trying to offer, which still has a little bit of scope around the globe. Not much in India. In India, they are very good at providing support, but globally, there is still some scope of improvement. So overall, this becomes very attractive for SMEs, and this allows them to uh, have their applications developed at speed, at very less cost, and without it investing into any heavy and very robust IT infrastructure.
Right.
Yeah.
I've always been impressed. Kissflow in particular worked so hard on customer self service and was really ahead of the curve. I'm glad you called that out, Abhishek. Dave, back over to you.
Sure. So, just switching gears a little, Abhishek, you talked about, a lot about the adoption in the SME market, and I can definitely kind of understand that. The North American market is largely, and to a certain degree, Western Europe as well, has largely been dominant by, let me rephrase that. large enterprise customers in those markets have largely utilized other vendors. And although we've seen sort of a strategic direction from companies like Zoho, Kissflow, and others, wanting to focus more on large enterprise in those segments, it'd be interesting getting your perspective on how successful they've actually been, and what kind of challenges do they face in order to be more successful and grow significantly in that enterprise space, especially bearing in mind about the fact that a lot of their competitors are ones that start in enterprise, large enterprise, and then maybe go downscale from there versus the other way around.
Right. So I would first of all like to set a context about this question that you have asked me. That since I've already mentioned that here in India, Zoho and Kissflow are some of the organizations that are very well renowned and utilized at larger scale. But the same impact is for larger organizations for like the OutSystems and Mendixes of the world that they have in North America and Western Europe. So, being the company originated from there, they have already a brand recognition that is associated with them, as well as the partnership network that they have over there, very well aligns the customers towards them. So, this is something that is the first hurdle for Indian companies that uh, move out to enterprise level in America and North this Western Europe. So after setting this context, I would like to say that vendors like Zoho and Kissflow are basically um, vendors that are uh, requested for or associated with small business units and departmental initiatives, first of all, in enterprise companies. And the focus is not on the core processes, but to automate small, discrete workflows where the simplicity, the speed, and the cost advantage that these vendors and these platforms delivers acts like a quick win for them, and especially in the areas such as HR, procurement, and project management. So that is how they start their journey in large markets like America and Western Europe. So this kind of adoption is something which allows this kind of capabilities allows them to focus not on enterprise level but SME customers in the American and Western European market as well. Then when we see that the other challenges that these vendors have to face are integration extensibility challenges. So when we see enterprise customers, they demand a very deep enterprise wide integration to each and every department and the products and the softwares that they utilize for their day to day use and delivering value to their own customers. They require integration with all of this. This is where so the vendors like Zoho and Kissflow lack a little bit in terms of when we compare them to larger vendors like OutSystems or Power Platforms.
Mhm.
So, and I think the last hurdle, as I have already established, that the partnership network. So, similarly, the sales and support maturity that these vendors, the Indian vendors, can provide is a little bit limited in these larger markets, and the vendors must provide very robust global management kind of services, as well as strong partnership and very localized enterprise gate support for enterprise customers, which the vendors like the Indian vendors are still not able to accomplish. But it is a part of their roadmap and they're working on it very extensively. And I think uh, the time is not very far away when these vendors will be directly competing with the large low code vendors like Power Platform or OutSystems. So this is how I think the American market will span out in the coming years for Indian vendors as well as the entire low code space.
Awesome. So we're going to take a quick commercial break to do a bit of promotion. You're watching and listening to Lowdown on Low Code, a series of podcasts delivered by Analysis.tech. Analysis.tech is a organization focused entirely and specifically on the low code automation related AI market. And this is all we do. It's the things we focus on. And this podcast series is designed as a way to basically make this real, make this very pragmatic, and provide you access to, hear from a range of industry leaders, both from a vendor perspective, an analyst perspective, a services provider perspective, and an end customer perspective that you may not necessarily easily hear elsewhere. So we encourage you to go to our website, analysis.tech, take a look at our YouTube channel and other channels that may be appropriate to you, and give us some feedback on what you think, what you'd like to continue to hear. John, let me hand over to you.
Thank you, Dave. So, as you mentioned, Abhishek, India has a massive community of professional developers providing services to firms all over the world, through big firms, through some of the big services firms, through smaller firms as well, smaller services firms as well. I'd love to, you mentioned that that this big services firms are adopting low code. I'd like to drill into that a little bit more and understand how the typically the pro developers in India are adopting low code. Do they, for example, do they tend to use low code alongside coding? Do they or do they exclusively kind of switch most of their efforts over from coding to low code? Are there particular types of applications that low code is being deployed for? I'd like to get a little more detail, if we could, about what you're seeing among the professional developer community.
So that is a great question that you have asked me, and honestly, this is something that I guess, and it is my opinion, that has not let low code boom here in India up till now. So what is happening over here is that low code adoption among professional developers is slowly and steadily growing, and this is due to the fact that there is a paradigm shift between the mindset of professional developers from thinking that low code is something that will simply take away my job, towards a tool that is very power packed and will help them to simplify and accelerate their overall tasks and help them deliver their projects at a very rapid pace compared to what they traditionally do while making a software. So the when we consider IT service firms, giant IT firms in India like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, HCL Tech, so these are kind of the firms that are leading in terms of low code adoption when it comes to internal usage. So what they are using low code is for compressing their entire delivery timelines, and particularly for the front end development, workflow automation, and system integrations in different projects is where they are focusing their investments in low code. And when we come back to the professional developers, they are not replacing their the traditional method with low code itself, but what they are doing is complementing their um, regular work with low code, and
Mm-hmm.
for example, utilizing it for rapid prototyping and configuration management and some other like less complex tasks,
Mm-hmm.
and focusing on custom coding is one thing that is still the key area where the low code is providing best performance or best output, we can say. So what the developers over here are doing is that they create low code components and extend their capabilities and functionality, and then integrate it with their own code, which is like like increasing the power of the entire ecosystem for their own utility at a very rapid pace. And
Yep.
this growth is largely driven by the client side demand, as I previously mentioned, that they are requesting for softwares at a very rapid pace. They want agility in each and every software. There are edits and changes in the requirement at very frequently. So this is where low code is helping the code development and IT service companies. And the another strong part is the factor is that there is a very strong partnership between Indian IT service firms and the global low code providers, low code vendors, and this is where the overall acceptance of low code in India is coming from. When they observe that these giant low code providers are giving such a good output to them, and they are also moving towards Indian vendors to optimize the cost further. So this is the way that the entire low code shift is coming upon in India. And lastly, the low code here contributes towards the skill strategy to help elevate the lack of skilled developers that we face all around the world over here. And there is a very mixed teams set up for developers and business users collaborating effectively and improving both the speed and the agility of the code or the applications while aligning IT and business requirements very effectively.
Right. Interesting that one of the primary drivers when we first began to observe what we subsequently called low code back in 2012, 2013 was lack of availability of talent, or shortfall in the availability of talent, and that is still a factor, particularly in India, but I suspect all around the world. Dave, over to you.
Sure. So, Abhishek, you talked a lot about sort of the SME adoption in India. What about sort of India's, industrial organizations? Is this an area where low code technologies are catching on and growing, or does it tend to take an approach of, we're just going to stick to building things with code or professional coding like we always used to? And then in that particular instance, obviously governance, life cycle management and everything else is super important, along with citizen development. And do you see a growth there, or is it still in its infancy?
So this is a very great follow-up question that you have, and the truth is that when we consider different industries and large organizations, the growth is at a very nascent stage, at its infancy actually. So this I would suggest that some sectors specifically are adopting low code at a faster speed, but overall the enterprise infrastructure is yet to accept low code uh, with open arms. So the sectors such as manufacturing, logistics, energy, infrastructure, which are more towards the non-technical side of the world, are focusing on adopting low code at a faster pace, primarily as a means to improve their operational efficiency and
Mhm.
digitalize their pen and paper tasks that they used to do, or the tasks that were heavily dependent upon Excel. And when we consider pen and paper, the government sector is also one which is focusing on adopting low code and
Right.
to develop internal applications at a faster pace. So much of this interest is driven by the need to modernize the legacy ecosystem that we have built in the past 50 years, and which is a very costly and not um, future ready. So, without overhauling the entire IT system and investing very heavily into large IT firms and getting their entire ecosystem modernized, what these industries are doing is they are partnering with low code vendors and kind of modernizing their current ecosystem, current infrastructure.
Mhm.
So, however, this adoption is so far tending to be very departmental or pilot led. As I mentioned, there are certain tasks, for example, operational, workflow digitalization, or the pen and paper task digitalization. So it is still departmentalized,
Mhm.
with implementations often confined towards maintenance management, maybe supply chain tracking, rather than a full enterprise wide deployment.
Mhm.
Then citizen development, as I previously mentioned, is in this sector is very new, and most of the industrial organizations have yet to broadly empower business users to build their own applications. They are largely focused to directly require these vendors, the low code vendors, to have their work done for them.
Hmm.
And this is largely ongoing due to the concerns around governance, security, data integrity. And to summarize this particular question is that governance maturity in our context of low code is relatively low, with firms having formal frameworks and oversight mechanisms in place to manage low code adoption at a very smaller scale as of now. So
Mhm.
that said, the interest and adoption is growing at a very fast pace. There is a clear trend towards developing more structured governance policies, the frameworks, and the industrial organizations are increasingly aware of the need to ensure secure, consistent, well integrated low code deployment and capabilities into their existing frameworks to complement their core systems and operational priorities, and to gain the benefit of cost savings and agility that local platforms provide. That is where the investments in India, the industrial organizations are focusing on. So yeah, that is how low code is being led in industrial organizations here in India
As
as of
a
now.
follow up, Abhishek, do the services firms have a lot of influence with the Tatas and the the big industrial firms in India?
Definitely. So the case is that the industries are working with these IT service providers for a long time, and change is something that we all try to avoid. So moving away from the well-established IT service network that they have established by now, and shifting towards comparatively smaller vendors, which they are not pretty much sure that will be capable and able to manage their large processes and data, is one thing that is keeping the future of low code adoption at a very relaxed pace. But I guess sooner or later, this adoption towards low code is going to be very much well received. And then I think IT services themselves will start providing low code products, or I should say solutions to these vendors, these customers also.
Right,
So yeah.
right. Interesting. The pattern. It sounds like. I mean, the pattern in the states and Western Europe was to start small with smaller firms and departmental uses of low code, but then we saw some of the vendors step up to large scale application development and deployment. It sounds like India is on track, has started that journey, but maybe is a year or so behind.
Right.
Okay, the last question for you is the elephant in the community, maybe. AI. AI seems to be changing everything. AI, the use of generative AI in the development process and development tooling, the use of generative AI in actually delivering in actual applications, and the way that processes run, and the way that people interact with systems of record and so forth is growing. Is it being adopted in India in the low code context, Abhishek?
So, like as you mentioned, that AI is the talk of the town everywhere, and very rightly said that in India itself, the low-code vendors as well as the previously mentioned IT services are very well focused on integrating every capability and every possible benefit of AI into their ecosystem and the platforms and the products they offer. So I, according to my understanding, AI will dramatically accelerate the low code adoption, not only in India but globally, as it has already been focused on and talked about by each and every vendor in even in my research. And it will further simplify the application development and will lower the barriers of entry into development for non-technical users even further. And as these AI capabilities will continue to mature, we will see that there will be a very major expansion in the citizen development developer base that each and every organization will have for them to provide speed and agility to each and every application that that particular organization is building.
Hmm.
Then with the AI assistance and the overall simplicity that AI will bring with it, the end users, or I should say the business developers, will intend to like uh, will intend to have more and more applications with AI to help them innovate, I would say, with simply telling the AI assistant to help them with different kind of codes and modules by
Hmm.
telling them in plain language, the natural language, and the assistants will analyze and understand the requirement of that particular user and create uh, maybe not the complete application but a very usable prototype to experiment
Hmm.
on and to further add the complexity as well as the capabilities to that particular prototype.
Hmm.
uh, for professional developers, I think AI will drive significant productivity gains, not only at the internal level but also to customer facing and the customer uh, delivered applications. And to this will be by automating repetitive tasks such as code scaffolding, testing, documentation, even,
Hmm.
and creating integrations very smoothly and very rapidly. And this will help them shorten the entire development life cycle for each and every application, uh, from months and sometimes to years to maybe even weeks, when we
Hmm.
see the capability and the speed at which AI itself is evolving,
Hmm.
and also reducing the time to market and the ROI on different products and softwares rapidly and at a way exponentially actually. And
Hmm.
finally, that in India, the AI enablement of low code platforms is has already starting to uh, uh, deliver billions of SMEs and business developers the impact of low code to make tailor-made solutions, and without relying on IT departments and heavy IT resources or external consultants for that matter. And
Hmm.
at the same time, this combination of AI and low code will elevate the importance of governance, as we have already talked about.
Right.
And the organizations will now need robust frameworks not only for the traditional security and data privacy, but to manage AI as well as low code created security, data privacy, and application quality, and the use of AI responsibly.
Hmm.
And ultimately, I think the firms that successfully blend the AI capabilities with their low code platforms will gain massive competitive advantage and allow their customers to innovate faster, iterate quickly, and respond to day to day business challenges at a very rapid pace, allowing them to have greater agility to shift to market according to the market demands. And I think uh, this particular shift towards AI and low code will not only impact Indian economy, but it is a global factor that is, I think, already starting to impact. And
Yeah.
each and every low code, or for that matter, anyone who is delivering software, is focusing on integrating AI
Yeah.
to provide value to its customers and have their own capabilities enhanced internally also.
Thank you, Abhishek. We certainly see the spread of interest in AI globally. Dave, want to take us home?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Abhishek, thanks again for the time today. Super helpful getting a perspective on sort of what's happening in a large, important locale like India from multiple points of view. Certainly, this is an area that we'll continue to be watching and looking at, as to the impact of across other regions as well. Um, for those of you watching, please continue to give us some feedback. Let us know what you like, what you'd continue to want to see, new areas that we should be thinking about, and give us feedback, whether it be on LinkedIn, on our website. Also, I'd encourage you to go to analysis.tech, take a look not just at the podcast, but also at some of the research work that we have done. It's freely available to you. Just sign up and you have access to the information. And with that, again, thanks, Abhishek. We will look forward to chatting to you again in future. Thank you all, and hopefully this has been a helpful podcast today.
Thanks for having me on the podcast.